Okay, so this morning I got a text message from a friend who I only really know them when we're drinking. I only know them when we are out and about. I know them to be more of a party friend, you know? And they said, I don't necessarily want to change everything I do about my lifestyle, but I know that the drinking and the going out and the sleep, I need to counteract it with something. I need some type of balance and nutrition in my life, but how do I do that without completely shifting everything that I do on a daily basis? I said, I got you. Organifine's green powder. And he said, oh, well, I've tried 2 other greens powder and I didn't like it. It was too sweet. And I said, oh my God, this is perfect. Okay, so Organifi has their greens powders. They make them in a travel pack and they also make them in a tub. The tub is what I use on a daily basis, and then the travel packs are what I use when I travel. But here's my trick. I do 32 ounces in the morning, but if you do 28, if you do 12, whatever it is. However, if you're doing more than 12 ounces, if you're doing more than a glass of water, do not do a full scoop. So in my mason jar, it's about 30 ounces of water in the morning. I will do 3/4 of a scoop. And I find that that is a better way to make sure you're getting the right consistency. It doesn't get there's no clumps. And I think that the flavor is just right. So you can sip it throughout the morning. You give it a stir every couple seconds, every couple minutes. That is the way to do it. All right. So in 30 ounces of water, 28 ounces of water, either do a half or 3/4 of a scoop. And it will help you stretch out the length that you have the greens powder, because if it's a good greens powder, it's not going to be $25. It has to be good ingredients, organic, everything that you would possibly want to fill in those nourishment gaps. That's what I recommended to him. And if you want to try it too, you can go to Organifi.com and use the code HTH20 for 20% off. They do not offer this discount anywhere else. Make sure that you are checking out Organifi.com/HTH, or you can go to Organifi.com and use the code HTH20 for 20% off. You will not regret it. This will change your entire morning routine and ensure that you are having high quality nutrition all throughout the day. Thank you, Organifi. Welcome to the Hotter Than Health podcast, a plant-dominant podcast for those looking to expand and elevate their lives. Each week, we will bring you provocative conversations and topics, entertaining interviews, and some of the biggest names in health and wellness to answer your burning questions. You will leave each episode with tangible tips and takeaways, and understand what it truly means to live an energized and optimized life. Well, hello. Happy Thursday. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time listening to the Hotter Than Health podcast, welcome. This is going to be a nutrition and wellness Q&A episode, and we do these about once a month. But I noticed it's been about a month and a half since we last did one of these, because we've just had such awesome guests. The founder of Prolon, which I'm definitely going to be talking about today. The founder of the Prolon Fasting Mimicking diet. We had Dr. B, the gut health MD. He was on for a 2-parter, which was insane. Y'all just devoured that one. And then we've had on a couple of different businesses and companies that have created amazing products, and I'm just ready for a little Q&A. And weirdly enough, I think that this is about the time that people request Q&A episodes, which is interesting because I feel like the numbers reflect differently. Whatever. But I'm excited to do a Q&A. If, again, this is your first time, make sure you head over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, and if you have a second, rate the podcast 5 stars. It is a monumentally helpful way to support the podcast, and essentially the more reviews and variety of content in the reviews, we get pushed out to more people who are searching, and that is the end goal. And if we want to get signed to Dear Media someday, then you gotta add a little variety. I spice up these reviews, so if you haven't already, thank you, and thank you in advance. Today we are going to be talking about a few different topics, but I do primarily want to dive into the fasting mimicking diet that has swept the nation, which is the Prolon diet. So I'll address one or two questions that we had come through, then I'll talk about the Prolon diet, because I'm not even going to get started, because I feel like if I begin in any sense, then I'll just go on a tangent. Also, if audio sounds any different today than it did before, I apologize, but I am getting a new desk, and I sold the desk that I had, and the desk that I had, long story short, not going to be here till Friday, so here we are. Okay, question number one is... Okay, this is just recipes and fall ideas. What would a balanced meal consist of? So, what are some balanced fall recipes? And this person might be coming from a space where it's colder than it is in Charleston, so bear with me here. But here's a good example. We have a Friendsgiving happening in, I don't even know when. We have a Friendsgiving happening, and I've already committed to making this big massaged kale, lemon. Maybe I'll add some Parmesan in there if I'm feeling wild, pomegranate seeds, roasted butternut squash or sweet potatoes, and olive slivers. That's what I'm going to be contributing to the cornucopia of different foods. And I might even add some pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds on top of there to give it some essential fats. But in order to create a balanced meal, I was just talking about this yesterday. I talk about it with a lot of clients. You want to go with the rule of 4. And if you've listened to this podcast before, you know what this is. If you're like me and you take your drinking water extremely seriously, you always have a water bottle, or you are making sure that you're staying hydrated first thing in the morning. You know, I have my 32 ounces of room temperature water every single morning without fail before coffee. Introducing my absolute favorite new beautiful product, Analemma. So did you know that 99% of our molecules are actually water? Analemma is a revolutionary new device that radically changes the state of our drinking water. So it enhances the property of water by rearranging H2O molecules into a liquid crystalline structure. So think about it like this. The water that we're typically drinking, the water molecules, the H2O molecules, are operating in a chaotic state. So they're bumping into each other, they're chaotic. When you use the Analemma product, you swirl this wand into the water for 10 or 15 seconds, and it creates this crystalline structure. Tastes the same, looks the same, but scientifically proven to rearrange the H2O molecules so that they are more coherent, which means more harmonious. So if you have two similar plants, if you have two basil plants in your house, I challenge you to water one of them with Analemma treated water and one of them with regular water. You will notice that if you leave them alone for 4 or 5 days, the one that's been treated with Analemma can survive so much longer without being damaged. The leaves will start to reverse yellowed aging. You will see that it lives so much longer even if you go out of town and you normally water it every single day. So Analemma water has radically shifted and enhanced biological age rejuvenation, balancing of the brain waves, it's increased vitality, so many incredible benefits, especially from the brain. You have got to check out the episode that we did with our founder, Mario. It was episode 188, and we talk all about Analemma. And you can also check out my Instagram to see how you actually use it. Go to ElizaG_wellness and watch me use the Analemma wand in my water. I have been doing this every single day. I'll actually put it in our water filter after it's been filtered, and that way water that we've been drinking all throughout the day is already Analemma treated. It takes 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and it will absolutely revolutionize and accentuate the already goodness that the water is giving you throughout your day. This is a product that I would recommend for someone to have one per household. And then this would be a really great gift for Christmas, really great gift for someone's birthday who is maybe an athlete, someone who takes their hydration really seriously and who's interested in taking their hydration to the next level. You can go to analemma.com and use the code HTH10 for 10% off. Again, it is Analemma, ANALEMMA.com. Use the code HTH10 for 10% off. Again, Analemma, ANALEMMA. Use the code HTH10 and make sure you check out the episode we did with Mario, episode 188, and you will learn all about this amazing, amazing new revolutionary technology. You won't regret it. But my rule of 4 essentially is when you're creating a balanced meal, you want to have fat, fiber, protein, and carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates. Those are the 4 components. I've been listening to too many podcasts about porn. I've been recommending the 4 components of a balanced meal: fiber, fat, protein, carbohydrates. And I think that a lot of people tend to overthink, but a general rule of thumb is if you can get all 4 of those, that is awesome. And you're going to feel satisfied afterwards, especially if there's enough substance in there. If you're just having 100 calories of everything, it might not be quite enough. That might be more of a large snack situation, but I always say do a thumb's worth of fat, a palm's worth of protein, and then as many greens and veggies as you want. And then when it comes to complex carbohydrates, so if you want to have some sourdough, if you want to have some roasted potatoes in there, go for it. But that one, again, be mindful of the amount of oils any of that is cooked with. That's a huge place where we think, oh, well, we're having fat from avocado or we're adding some nuts and seeds. But if everything has been cooked in oil, then you're already hitting that mark. And especially the cooked oils, I'm not a huge fan of because they are stripped of all of the nutrients that make them beneficial in the first place. Not all of them, but a lot of the time. So having those 4 components, if you can hit 4, that's awesome. If you can hit 3, that's really fantastic. That's really great for if you're traveling. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to hit all 4. But if you're hitting 2, that's likely a snack. And then if you're hitting 1, it's probably just popcorn. Don't lean too much into that being a balanced meal. So I think if you are trying to have 3 square meals per day, maybe reduce snacking because you're really busy at work. Maybe you're a nurse or a teacher and you have breakfast, you have lunch that is really quick, and then you go home and have dinner. If snacking is not really an option, having these balanced meals is going to be your best friend. But having that big kale salad that I was talking about, that hits 3 out of 4. You do get a little protein from everything being put together, but maybe as far as complete protein, if you wanted to add some edamame, that would be really good in there as well. Another balanced meal that I have been obsessed with, Jake and I make this at least twice per week, is a teriyaki salmon bowl. You can find a really high quality teriyaki from Trader Joe's. You could also just do a bit of tamari sauce, which is a soy sauce, get some sesame seeds as well as a little bit of honey, and mix all 3 of those together and make your own. That's something that I have done as well in the past. So I'll coat the wild-caught salmon. I do try and do wild-caught salmon. Last night I went to Whole Foods and, spoiler alert, last night I went to Whole Foods and bought a large strip, bless you, Jack. I bought a large strip of salmon, and I didn't even look at the price because I was like, well, they don't have any other wild-caught options, and I'm not doing farm-raised, and we really want salmon, so why even bother? And I get to the checkout line, and it was $40 for 2 portions of salmon. And that's fine. I understand inflation is a thing, but, I mean, Jesus. This is not Erewhon. I don't understand where that price came from. And I will tell you, it wasn't even that good. It was rubbery. It didn't cook. It was a weird situation. We make this all the time. And anyways, so we do a salmon bowl with the teriyaki situation. Jack, he makes this show all about him. I swear on my life. Could you sit down? You can't because you're deaf. Sit. You think my hand is food. Whatever. That's my dog, Jack. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, he's 265 years old, and he just does what he wants, and he tip-taps all over the house. But either way, so we bought the salmon, and oh my gosh, what's wrong with him? So we bought the salmon, did that teriyaki sauce, and then we did a little bit of white rice on the side and some nori crisps. We did that also over a bed of leafy greens, which is really great. But the nori crisps, they just add this extra dimension to the meal because sometimes you don't want to just have the salmon bowl. Sometimes that's a bit boring. But if you mash it all up and you get it extra mushy in the bowl, we also like to do a mixture of broccoli in there as well, but like really cooked broccoli. So we'll do that. We'll mash it all up. So you have your carbs, you have a nice fat and protein from the salmon, which is a complete protein, essential amino acids and all. And then you have the nori, the nori crisps, which are more of a micro ingredient, which gives you iodine and potassium and different vitamins such as those. Those are two of my favorites. And the salmon bowl you can do all year round. Those are two of my favorites. Holy long-winded answer. The next question that we have is how to lose weight while eating intuitively. I think that it really goes back to, first of all, are you losing weight because you are in a different body than you used to be in and you are comparing yourself to who you used to be and you're thinking, oh, well, if I weighed this much in college, then I can weigh this much now. But think about how you were feeling during that time. I follow this woman, Natasha Oakley. She's one of the founders of Monday Swimwear, and she just did a huge post on her body. And let's just call a spade a spade. Her body is rockin'. I mean, she's a model. She's gorgeous, and maybe there's been some fluctuation, but it's not so much the fluctuation that anyone's naked eye can see. I'm sure she can see it because it's in her own body. But she just said, hey, look, if you've ever seen me looking ripped or super, super fit, just know that I was stressed. I was either in a toxic relationship and I'm not saying that if you are lean and thin and enjoy your body, then you're in a bad state, but fluctuation is normal. And oftentimes if we have unpredictable weight gain or weight loss, it can be due to external environmental factors. All of that to say is that think about first why you're trying to lose weight. Is this for health reasons? I mean, that's totally personal for each person, but think about why you're trying to lose weight. Are you trying to lose like 2 or 3 pounds because you have this tiny small belly pooch? Well, maybe we look at digestion. Maybe we don't focus so much on caloric intake. But when you're eating intuitively, your body will tell you what it needs. So I've made this analogy before, but I find it really helpful. I always say at the beginning of each day, we have these three pillars of nutrition, and multiple pillars of nutrition. Throughout the day, we want to end the day having filled those all up equally and to their appropriate amount. If we are eating just carbohydrates, or if we aren't eating anything at all, but we're exercising a lot and we're extra hydrated, but we haven't had that food, we want to nourish our bodies to the appropriate amount that satisfies us, but doesn't put us in a state of exhaustion and doesn't put our digestive tract in a burdensome state. Having balanced meals throughout the day, consistently, trying to eat around the same times each day so that your body has some sense of rhythm and routine. Rhythm and routine does not mean dogmatic and obsessive. It means that generally you have some type of routine on when you're eating, and if you don't, then that's okay. But thinking about trying to eat around the same times puts your body in less of a unpredictable mindset, meaning you're not so much in that sympathetic nervous system. You're in less of the fight or flight, more of the rest and digest, which we could all use a little bit more of. How to lose weight while eating intuitively. Also, this goes into workouts too. I think that if we are crushing intense workouts, I am good friends still with a ton of the trainers that I still used to work with at Hilo and at Orange Theory, and any of them will tell you they have clients coming into any of those gyms 6, maybe 7 times per week. Yes, they're hitting it hard at the gym and they're crushing these workouts. That's great. But there is no reason why you need to be going in and smashing a high intensity workout 5 or 6 to 7 days per week. If anything, that can mess up the metabolism, especially for women. If you're not looking at where you are in your cycle, what you're doing, are you exacerbating? Are you going to cause injury, which is going to cause you to be more sedentary? We just have to think about trying to add variety and intuition to our workouts. If you're waking up feeling super tired, give it an hour, and then if you're get some type of movement in. It's just about committing to yourself that movement each day. But overall, having whole balanced meals, reducing processed sugars and foods, and look at if you're drinking alcohol. It's people always think, okay, what do I do? Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And to lose weight, to get healthy, to feel strong, to reduce acne, whatever it is, whatever ailment or problem, quote unquote, they're trying to solve. Anyone will say, wow, just tell me the magic pill and I'll take it, and I'll pay any amount to be thin or to be clear skinned or have bigger boobs. Pay any amount. Well, you can pay, but you have to pay daily. And this is not for bigger boobs. You can't really like work out for bigger boobs. But the clear skin and the health and the being as strong and feeling as good as you can, it isn't a one-time payment and then it will be figured out. You can pay for this type of situation metaphorically, but you have to pay a little bit every day, because it's the habits that we have in our life that are gonna really be able to predict our future. So if you're repeating this cycle of being extremely healthy during the week and then having 6-7 drinks on maybe even Friday and Saturday, and then brunch on Sunday, then that's still, that's 14 drinks a week, and that's definitely not. This is not judgmental. It's definitely been me in periods of my life too. It's not going to get you to where you want to be no matter how hard you're working. And it might, but it'll take a while. So I really encourage anyone who is trying to focus on intuition is to start getting really clear. And the more you listen to those small intuitive moments, the more it will sharpen that intuition inside of you. It is like a muscle. You get the intuition that you should have gone for a long walk instead of a intense workout, and you do that, then you feel great afterwards. Then that is you flexing that intuitive muscle, listening to it. Now, the more you ignore your intuition, it's not going to continue to grow. You have to feed the process of listening to yourself, learning how to trust yourself, and that will seep into every area of your life. You will be able to trust your gut more when it comes to people, relationships, career, food, fitness, decisions, whatever it is. Now, let's get to why you all clicked on this episode. I have gotten more messages, honestly some hate, and just comments about the Prolon fast. It's about 50-50. People saying, that's awesome, can't wait to try it, I've already ordered it, it's at their house. So if you've used it and you're doing it, maybe you've done it in the past, maybe you've done it several times, or you're super excited. I said earlier how this podcast comes out on Thursday. It is Wednesday, meaning that Tuesday evening, drum roll please, as we are getting into fall, we're starting to see the leaves changing. We're starting to get that more dryness in the air. And if you're like me, I already have extremely dry skin. And what I know about that is that if I don't have some type of support for my collagen in my body, then I know that I'm going to have to be globbing on tons of lotion, and I don't necessarily want to be clogging my pores like that. So what I am making sure that I'm doing is not only am I getting collagen and support from my nutrition, but I'm also making sure to support that with vitamin C, because without a good vitamin C, then the collagen in your body is not being supported properly. So that really is the missing link. So with vitamin C, not all supplements are created equally. So if you're taking a vitamin C capsule or in a tablet form, then you're letting the key nutrients just simply pass through your body without being absorbed. So based on stomach acid, you're kind of missing out. Our friends over at Purality Health have patented a formula that utilizes something called micelle liposomal technology. This delivers nutrients into your bloodstream, and it's proven to be 800% more efficient. All right, 800% more efficient. So if you are starting to notice your skin getting drier, kind of like the leaves that are falling from the trees, then it's definitely time to focus on your vitamin C intake to ensure your collagen production is staying on point. You can go to puralityhealth.com and save 20% off by using the code HTH20. Again, that is Purality Health, PURALITY health.com, using the code HTH20. Again, try the micelle liposomal vitamin C at puralityhealth.com, code HTH20 to support your collagen needs. I broke my fast. I started on Sunday morning, so I had all day Sunday, all day Monday, and then up until about 7 p.m. on Tuesday. And essentially, this fasting mimicking diet is 5 days. The first day you have 1,000 calories, approximately, broken up into 3 small meals. And then the subsequent days are about 800, I think a little less than 800 calories. I understand the process of how this is happening. I understand the clarity you can get. I understand the benefits of cellular rejuvenation. I think fasting is such a magical tool for so many reasons, for longevity, for weight loss, but reducing inflammation, helping to fight certain diseases. I really do believe in the benefits of it. On that same note, I think that the problem that I was having, and this is not a blame, this is me just owning my shit, but I think that the problem that I was having was that there were still 3 quote-unquote meals per day. And you have this little calendar you can look at, and it says, breakfast, lunch, dinner. But as the days goes on, the meals get smaller and smaller and smaller. And I understand that, of course, this is how it's broken up. I, in the past, have done 2.5 day water fasts. And I think that potentially worked better for me because I could tune it out. I didn't have to think about my next meal. I wasn't obsessing over, okay, how am I going to make this meal? How am I going to stretch this out? Can I add more water to this? Can I add more vegetables to this? Like, what flavors can I add to this to make it good, even though it's only 2 bites? It's great. I think, especially if you are someone who eats for fuel. Some people, I can tend to obsess about food as well. Or I'm sorry, I have in the past been very obsessive about food, like extremely obsessive. And I didn't want to get back into that. Not saying it was disordered eating, but I could just tell immediately that maybe this isn't the right fit for me to be sharing about. There's no question in my mind that my body could have finished this fast. However, I do think that it reached a certain point that it was 3 p.m. I had been at my desk since 9 a.m. And if you know me, that's just a lot of sedentary time. And I had breakfast because I was so hungry. And so I was like, okay, I'll eat this bar at 9, which I normally would have waited until noon. But I still had black coffee. I had a shit ton of water. Ate it around 9. And then I hadn't moved all day. It wasn't like I went out for a workout. I didn't even go for a walk. Incredibly sedentary. Because I knew if I had gone for even a little bit of a walk, I would have just been so fucking hungry. And then by the time noon rolled around, because I had been stretching it out to eat lunch at 2 or 3, like breaking the fast around 12 with the Prolon first meal, and then the second meal I would have around 2 or 3, and that would stretch me around 6 o'clock. But that day, I was just ready, and I knew that I had calls and work all that afternoon, and it was gloomy, and I hadn't really hung out much with my partner at all, and I knew he was getting home at 7. I wanted to see him and sit with him and talk to him. Let me also tell you, this is a tangent a little bit, but I think that people will understand, especially if you have done any type of fasting before. I described this to someone on day 2. It was really not that bad, but on day 2, my thoughts and even my vision was so clear. It was like my thoughts were in HD. My vision was in HD. I was categorizing my thoughts. I was thinking, my vocabulary was super sharp. And I don't know, it's incredible how your concentration, focus, and clarity truly can spike and be amplified when you are burning fat and really clean fuel. Whereas sometimes if you get that spike of energy from a chocolate bar or just a straight juice, whatever kind of sugar or simple glycogen, it's a more frenetic, chaotic energy. And the energy that I felt, I could not sleep. I was waking up every hour, which is crazy because they say that whatever, I know fasting has so many benefits and sleep is so important, but I was waking up every hour, not only thinking about food, but just my mind was racing. I thought I had all these thoughts, all these feelings, all these emotions, all of these, not anxiety at all. It was just a busy mind. At the middle or end of day 2, I hadn't decided whether or not I was going to break the fast. But at the end of day 2, I thought, okay, what am I doing this for? And I realized, I thought, okay, I was doing this for a self-experiment. My body, I know, could take it, but I was like, I need some joy right now. I need some joy. I had just gone on like all over Facebook Market to sell this freaking desk and just doing so many mundane things on a computer, and it was starting to drizzle, so I was trying to go outside but couldn't, and I was like, I just need joy. And maybe that's a pussy thing to say, whatever, but 2 and 6/8 days is totally fine with me, and I'm cool with that. I haven't thought about it since, and I even thought about recording this episode yesterday while my thoughts were still fresh, but I was like, nobody cares as much as I do. It's not a big deal. Here's what I would say. I do think that this is a great diet. I will say I lost some weight. It wasn't for weight loss, but it's inevitable. You're a walking diuretic. You're peeing all the time. I actually still had really decent conference calls, which is awesome. But despite the low calories. But let me have a sip of my ginger tea. I chose joy. I think that if it hadn't been 3 dedicated meals per day, I'm like, just give me, don't try and make these meals. don't give me meals that I would normally eat, but in a shot glass. It's like, ooh, get so excited for lunch, and they give you soup, but think of it in a shot glass. And they're like, oh, but wait, you can have this shot glass full of this amazing soup, but you can put water in it to stretch it out. And guess what? You can have as much water as you want. That's the sell. And I totally think that it's worth it for, I think it's worth it for so many health reasons. Do it a couple times a year. I think it's great. For me, I think that doing a one day, or if I had started on a Saturday, that might have been better. I could name a million excuses. I didn't finish it. I think it's still great. I don't not recommend it. But I will say I got several messages from people that I don't even know, and also from friends and people, the gamut, who said, oh my gosh, absolutely not. Diet culture, this is so triggering for eating disorders. This is the whole 9. And I totally get that. I had a call with a client, or a potential client, on the 2nd day. Yeah, I was on the 2nd day. So I was still going strong. And she was asking questions, and she had mentioned that she had recovered from an eating disorder and obsessive habits and orthorexia. And I was like, oop, definitely not telling her about this Prolon fast, definitely not telling her I'm doing this. So I think that you have to really know yourself. If you have worked really hard to get out of cyclical food obsessive thoughts and eating disorders, maybe this is not the fit. Maybe there are other ways to do it, intermittent fasting or whatever. But maybe a 5-day, I think that 5 days, because I could already see myself thinking, okay, well, I really want to have a salad. but is the salad too many calories? And it made me just reconceptualize how big a meal should be, what the portions should look like. And I'm 5'7", I'm very active. It's not like I'm eating 1,000 calories a day. I would not, that's not good for me. And uh yeah, that's a tangent there, but I think that if you have struggled with disordered eating, disordered thought patterns around food, struggled with your relationship around food at all, then perhaps this is not the fit for you. I did, however, and I even had a girl message me because I got a comment on one of my reels that I did about it, and I immediately after the first day thought, okay, or after the second day I was like, I am not posting about this on social media. I know I said I was going to, but it's just not something that I have too many people that follow me that have dealt with disordered eating and who have dealt with getting out of that unhealthy mindset and really working on themselves. I don't want to negate any of that. And I know it's totally personal responsibility. I understand that. I just don't want to. I was like, I'm just going to keep it to myself. So I did. And then I ate a salad. I was just craving this. Oh my God, it's so good. Write this down. It's the Trader Joe's vegan feta cheese block, whatever. So I chopped up a ton of cabbage. It was purple cabbage and green cabbage, just a bit. And then if you have IBS, don't do that. Just use mixed greens. And then I added a little mixed green. I added some arugula and then a tiny bit of apple cider vinegar, lemon, pepper, a little bit of that feta, dill, chives, and 2 little falafel balls from Trader Joe's. It was truly, it is my religion now, that salad. It is so amazing, and it's light and it's fresh, but then you have the depth of the falafel and the feta. You can add in different herbs and spices as you wish, but I just think that this is God's salad. This is really where the salad direction needs to be going in. More of that Mediterranean, have a little bit of the heat from the falafel ball so it's not just a cold raw salad. But you gotta massage the hell out of it. You gotta really massage it. Make sure that the kale or whatever greens you're using are nice and soft so you can digest it easily. And that way it also feels more. And there was a little bit of avocado. I think, yeah, there was like 1/4 of an avocado in there, and that's all you needed. So if you mash that all around, it's this really almost creamy citrusy salad. Oh, it is stupid good. And that is how I broke my fast. I felt zero guilt about it. I felt zero pressure to keep doing it. I had one personal training client who was doing it at the same time with me, and I feel that I have not told him that I'm not doing this, but maybe he'll listen to this episode and be extremely mad at me because I train him on Friday and he will potentially listen to this on Thursday. Sorry. I think that the Prolon fast is a really great fit for getting some clarity, maybe a seasonal reset. I think that it's good for motivation. I was definitely productive. I felt energetically, I felt totally great. I was never tired. If anything, I had too much energy. Clarity, awesome. Skin, killing it. I also noticed the puff bags under my eyes were gone. And normally I try and sleep on my back anyways, so I don't have the big puffy bags, but I noticed that, I mean, I still always have them a little bit. They're just worse if I sleep on my stomach. And with this, there was no puff bags, though it's crazy. The whites of your eyes get clearer. You just feel unencumbered by any bloating, digestive fatigue, and it's all plant-based. The food is all plant-based, which I thought was decent. But I will say, there was this one drink that they gave you on day 2, and I did the drink mixture, and I was sipping on it all day long. It tasted like, okay, let me just take you back to what some of my high school days, well, middle school probably, days were like. It tasted like orange Burnett's citrus vodka, but at the very bottom of your glass. So if you had woken up in the middle of the night in middle school or high school, whatever. I started drinking far too young. But if you woke up in the middle of the night and you reached around, fumbled around, you're trying to find any Deer Park water bottle that crinkled enough that seemed like there was enough water, and you raise it to your lips and you're so excited, oh my gosh, you wake up in the middle of the night and you're so parched, and you take that sip and it's that burning vodka, and you're like, fuck, because you know you stole that vodka from your parents or someone's house, maybe your best friend Lucy's house. You stole it from their house and you put it in this water bottle. You brought it with you in your whatever purse that you got from the hand-me-down store, and you tried to satisfy your thirst in the middle of the night, but instead you have vodka. So it reminded me of that. It didn't have the burn of vodka, but it did have the citrusy back end of the vodka. I can't explain it, but if you've done the Prolon Fast, it's like a extremely flat, less flavorful orange LaCroix. If you've, I've never been on a plane. Just kidding. It was horrific. Second day wasn't as bad because they changed up the flavors. But either way, that's my story with the Prolon Fast. I made it 2.8 days. I'm going to give it that. And you know what? That's good for me. That's great. And if you are already on the cusp of being underweight, please be mindful of how you practice this. Here I am, super not a doctor, but I feel like it is my responsibility if people are listening to this to know, hey, just know that opportunities could creep up, that some old thoughts could start to come up and boil to the surface. And that is what I have today. I don't think I need to do any more. I like these brief episodes, letting you all know what's up. But I am going to put out, God, this is so self-indulgent of me. I am going to be putting out a episode that I did with there was another girl who interviewed me, had me on her podcast. Her name is Mackenzie. Her podcast is the North Star Podcast, and she interviewed me, and I finally talk about what I have been doing career-wise and why I've been traveling so much. I know I gave a kind of BS teaser several months ago, but now I'm finally talking about it, and the episode goes everywhere. It might be a little redundant to some people, but we do talk about a lot of things that I don't think you all have heard from me, whether it's about food or, I don't know, astrology or life, childhood, health, diet, fitness, career. It's pretty interesting. I think you all will like it. But again, if this is your first episode, thank you so much for joining. I know that I'm also sitting down, and I was hunched during this episode where normally I have, shoulders back and I have good posture, but so I do feel like my voice is a little bit nasally. Here I am. I don't need to tell on myself. This is fine. Well, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Hotter Than Health. Next week, we are coming out with an interview, and then you will hear the solo podcast. I haven't quite decided on that yet. Either way, enjoy the rest of your week. Have an amazing weekend. Get some sleep. Go to the farmer's market. Have a pastry. Have some kale. Love you all, and we will talk to you next Thursday.